Professor Pete here. It's week 14. Thought I'd change up the scenery a little bit. Hopefully you can still hear me, but this week we're gonna do something a little bit easier, I'd say, but I think it's really important in terms of dressing up your short films to make it look good, show that you put some effort into this, and that's with titles and credits. How do we come up with an interesting title? How do we integrate it into the short film? What fonts can we use for the credits? What's important to the credits? Let's look at some of the pet peeves. Why you should make your credits only 10 seconds long, or not at all. But either way, let's just jump right into this. There's two main takeaways, and that is the font that you should use and the placement of the title, as well as different options for the credits, where they should appear. So here we have Chasing Grasshoppers. This appears right at the beginning. I decided to go with a different font for Grasshoppers because it is a short film about Laos, at least the main character, their childhood story of Laos. Notice too that the title also has the credit built in. So this is by Peter Chanthanacone. So if you got teams of 2 or 3, you could have all 3 names here, or you could just remove that entirely, just have the title. But notice how it's a play on not only the title that matches the story, but also the play on the font choices, the colors I use, and emphasis. This is all very important when coming up with an interesting introduction. Again, this one also appears right at the beginning of the short film, and it just kind of proceeds from there with, an extra disclaimer and just jumps in. So here's another example where the title comes in, and I played around with it with the glow just again to show that the short film is going to be very colorful and playful, and that's how it is. It's a music video, and I put my name also in the beginning along with it, so that worked really well. You've seen some of these short films, so here's Death to the Different, and the title of it is integrated into the short film. So there's a few of these short films like this right here, Death to the Different. I also put my name in there, and the font also matches kind of this book style medieval theme that's in this short. With Junkbox, you don't see the title until maybe 30 seconds in. So this is also another way to integrate the title into the short and find clever ways to place it. I did the same for Parking Gods as well. So there it is, comes in. Pretty intense, but I like the font worked out well because, again, it's an antique jukebox. That's the main character, and so I thought that type of font really worked for it. So if you remember Parking Gods, so I have the opening shot showing the list, close-up of the gears being shifted, and then we have the name of the superstore, and then the title comes in. Again, playful use of color, which matches the overall design of the short film. Here's Tuk Tuk Ride. Again, I played with the style. The background is really sketchy, just to match the overall look of the short film. And then there's other short films like Dance Universe, which doesn't have any title, just credits at the very end. For the short film School of Rock, I was able to incorporate it as a sound effect that appears in the beginning. And there's a bit pause there to add some fun to it. You could also place the title in the establishing shot. So here is the toy store, and then there is the title. Again, the play on the fonts, using different fonts, but making sure that your director name is in a sans serif font. So I think that's pretty straightforward in terms of where you can put the title. Again, you don't have to put a title at the very beginning. Maybe you can integrate it in. Think about the font, think about the color. Again, it's supposed to be designed in a way to suggest the overall idea of your story, whether it's a comedy or if it's a serious topic. You'll use a font that reflects that. Now, if we look at the credits, this should be very clear. You should have the title of the film in a bigger font. It should all be one font. And notice how I have the title of each role as bold in that same font. I have the name of the person just in the normal emphasis. I think this is the easiest way. Notice too that it only should appear for about no more than 10 seconds. Notice too that it should only appear for no more than 10 seconds. In this case, it only appears for 5 seconds. Maybe 5 is too short, depending on how many people you have working on this. So if you decided to have a bunch of sound effects, or if you had some extra help from some sort of stock website or some designer, then you could put that in there. But generally speaking, if you worked in teams of 2 or 3, or if you did end up working alone, then you may not even need anything for the credits. My general rule of thumb is if you did everything, like you see on the credits here, created, directed, and produced by, that sums everything up. You don't need to put designed by, storyboards by, animatic by, animation by, sound effects by. You don't need to put your name for everything. It's really overkill. So if you can get away with just putting your names on the title, then that's totally fine. But if there's more people that worked on this project, which again shouldn't be the case, you may not need credits at all. Just remember though, my biggest pet peeve is any short film that has more than 10 seconds on credits. There really is no reason that you have a 10-second credit. Unless you had 50 people working on this, which again, seems very unreasonable, there's no way that should be. So anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to cover with titles and credits. Think about the font. Think about the color and size of the font for the title. Make sure it suggests what your theme, your ideas, whether it's a horror, comedy, etc., etc. And then think about the credits. Maybe you don't need credits, but if you do, make sure it's no longer than 5 seconds, and make sure you have a font that's very clear to read. That's all I got. Professor Pete, I'm out. Keep learning. See you in the next one.